Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. This is a different kind of video because what I'm going to do today is answer a question that I've been asked a few times, which is whether the 787 by Magknight is better than the Flight Factor A350. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to run through 3 pre-recorded flights, all exactly the same route, so we can compare the FPS. I will also take a look at the sounds, the visuals, the features that are inside the aircraft, as well as, of course, the prices of them as well. There's a couple of quirks in each of the aircraft as well that I want to take a look at. So, yeah, let's get started. So first of all, let's have a quick look on the store then. As you can see, this is the Airbus A350 XWB Advanced. XWB standing for Extra Wide Body. That is the actual name of the real aircraft. Now this is a 350-900. There is currently no -1000 that I can find anywhere, freeware or payware. Price, of course, $65. These prices are correct as of the time of recording. I will just put the time of recording on the video now so that you can know exactly when these were. I have been told that both the price of the Flight 50, Flight Factor and the Magknight will increase after the final updates have been made. So for $65 what you get is superb 3D modelling, advanced systems, advanced fly-by-wire and flight systems, custom 3D sounds, excuse me, and 7 liveries included in the package. Now they are very nice. If you haven't seen already, you can see the Lufthansa livery in my review video of the latest beta. We'll talk about which version is currently available in a moment. So the requirement is X-Plane 11, 4 GB of RAM, download size. Current version is 1.69. That is from July the 23rd. Yeah, so that is the one that I have. Now, reviews. Designer, videos, version. So, version 1.68 is from July the 17th. There was also a beta that went with that. Version 1.69, it says, is the current version. So that's what you get for the Flight Factor. Now, for the 787, we get this beauty from Magknight. Now, I'm not going to try and influence anyone's decision. I'll tell you my personal feeling about the planes when we get to the end of the video. So you can see straight away $45, which means you've got a $20 saving there. The Magknight is the 787-9. The Aviator edition. Not quite sure why it's called that because I couldn't find any other editions of it from Magknight. It kind of sounds like it's a better version or something, but there isn't actually another one that I could see. So you get general. So brand new flight model, improved wing flex, custom IRS simulation with quick align, multiple engine choices. That's very true. Custom flight controls, Hoppy ACARS integration. Now I'm not using Hoppy, so it doesn't make a difference to me. Fmod sound pack, that's always nice. 3D cabin and fuselage, custom electrical system, liveries, a blank livery included by default, and you can download others. And you can auto update using Skunkcraft. Requirement, same as all the others. Download size is a little bit bigger. It was 850 for the 350. And that is the current version. And version history, you can see we've had a few updates to it, and there is a pending update soon, which should make this plane everything that it can be. That's what I'm really hoping for. So now, on to the actual planes. Okay, so this is part of the pre-recorded flight, but what I want to do is just have a look around the cockpit. Now, we're only testing the 350 against the 787, but what I do also have is a cockpit mod, which I'll put a link into. This is not the Cockpit mod, this is the standard Cockpit. As you can see, if I go for default view, we're a bit too zoomed in, so I've got my own default view which is zoomed out. Things are looking a little bit 2D. Even this screen here, which is technically on an angle to that, still looks quite 2D, and that reflection is not moving. Same with the reflections over here and over here. Texturing, texturing on the carpet looks okay. Texturing around the window doesn't look too bad, and on the seat, not so bad. Here it's, I don't know, it's like they've tried to give it a slightly dirty colour, which is a bit strange because it's a 350, it's pretty much brand new. It'd be odd. Same here, you see the pedals have got some dirt on there. It just looks a bit weird. This is also something. There is no tray table. There are also many parts of this plane that don't work. Click buttons that aren't actually working. We'll go through that another time. So graphics wise, yeah, it doesn't look too bad. It could look better, but we will see what it looks like with the Cockpit mod installed to get a proper look. This upper panel, however, I haven't seen the real thing. I need to try and compare it to a photo. This, to me, it looks like there are just not enough buttons or too much space. Everything is so spaced out. And I mean, look at the size of these switches here. These could be bigger, I'm sure. And these are tiny. They're really minute. That is an enormous area. Now, I'm used to flying the 320, which of course has quite a small cockpit in comparison, so maybe it's just that, I don't know, but yeah, this doesn't feel right to me. And if we just hop over here, the cockpit door side, so there you go, there's your sort of your view of the cockpit. It does look very 2D. It was something that was pointed out to me. They've tried to give it some shading. I mean, that looks pretty good. But those are standard switches. To be honest, all of these are actually standard switches from the 320. There's no reason why they have to look so 2D. But these displays, they just don't look right. Not at all. We'll go into other things like sound and quirks a bit later on, but for now I just wanted to show you the graphics. So let's have a look at the 787 graphics. So graphics in the 787. First thing you'll notice here, which is different to the 350, is this beautiful shine, and it's not a 2D thing either. It's actually going to move across the cabin. If I get into the right light, see, it actually moves around the cabin. It is really cool. That is the good thing. The bad thing is, a lot of this, I don't know, it feels too 2D. It feels like it doesn't have any depth to it. Parts of it do. This looks good, but I don't know, it's just, I'm looking dead straight, but that's on an angle, so is that, technically. It feels like it's just a bit too flat. And I don't really know what to do about that, to be honest. These switches all look lovely, really nice. But yeah, it's just this area, I don't know, it just feels a bit too flat at the buttons. But yeah, the rest of the texture modelling is really nice. The texturing on the seats is actually better than the 350. The seats aren't the most important thing, so they do tend to look rubbish, but they are quite nice. That over there, I guess that's meant to be like a frosted glass cupboard, but yeah, that looks a bit nasty. As does this. But You're not often looking there, I suppose. If we go and have a look in the cabin, though. Yeah, doesn't look too good, does it? This looks better. These seats in here look a lot better. And I don't think this fills up with passengers. I don't think we've got some goofy looking passengers in the back when we're flying, which is quite nice. So, yeah. I have to say, I think I prefer this cockpit overall out of the two. But that's just because of the shine, really, and the texturing. And because, as I mentioned, for the 350, there was too much space on the 350, too much space between buttons. Here, there still seems to be some blank areas, but it feels more like a plane. No, there's lots of bits packed into lots of areas. Switches next to each other. It's the way I expect it to be. So let's check out the 350 cockpit mod. Right, so this is the cockpit texture mod. So we're going to look at the graphics now. I'm going to be honest with you. I think I can see a slight difference in some areas, mainly the wear around here, but I can't see much difference. Now, it could be my eyes. I'm viewing this on a 2K monitor. When I render it, I will render it into 4K. Maybe you can see something, maybe other people can see something that I can't, but I just can't really see much difference. That still looks the same over there. The seats look the same. Yeah, I can't really see anything. So I'm not that overly impressed. But then again, you're not losing anything. Possibly. We'll see when we come to FPS. Now outside, I didn't show this before, but this is all the ground equipment. I'm not quite sure why it's all so blue and why this seems to be some sort of, I don't know, Soviet missile truck for the fuel. Not a clue with that, but this does look very nice, all of this equipment. The stairs are there today, okay. I opened the back door. I didn't realise they were going to board from there. Oh look, we've even got, if I go down, we've even got some people. So we've got an engineer here by the bus, a couple of guys standing round with some rather scary looking faces. Engineer over here by the ground equipment. This guy who looks like he's far too old to be standing in front of a plane doing nothing. Oh, and he's there as well. We've got some guys here. This guy's head is a little bit funny shaped. Yeah, so that's quite nice. Okay, let's move on. Okay, back to the pre-recorded flight. Now a little bit about the sound. So the 787 obviously lists itself as having F-mod sounds. The A350 does not, and I think it shows. You should be able to hear the sound of the engines. They whine, but they should be louder than that on the external view, I think. I think they should be just a little bit louder. And just, this is meant to be sound, but while we're here, look how dirty the external model is. Now, the Walker Air livery doesn't change the wings, it just changes the engines and the fuselage. So this is the default. This is really dirty. Sound-wise, in the cockpit, you've got that distinctive sound that you get inside the cockpit. But apart from that, there's nothing much going on. When you click things, you don't get that satisfying sound. Of course, there's no BSS pack, but that's to be expected. But I don't know, it just feels a little bit too quiet. Back in the cabin, let's take a look. Let's see what it sounds like in the cabin, shall we? Exactly the same. So the sounds are not following me. And they're not moving. They should change position as I get closer to the engines or further away. These people here are very scary looking, aren't they? Very scary looking. I don't know who they're modelled after, but they're quite terrifying. So yeah, the sounds aren't changing, which is quite disappointing. Okay, so for the sounds, we're going to look at the sounds in two parts. I didn't do this with the 350 because I'm going to do it with the mod version. I can split it and show the sound there. But I just want to have a look. I don't know how well you're going to hear this, so I might have to adjust the volume in editing, but I just want to let you hear the switches in here, and then we'll hear the engines once they get started. You know, there's some actual pressing of buttons. It's nice. But not there, actually. That doesn't seem to make any sound. These, I think, are silent. Yeah, silent buttons. The flaps, if I use my... You get that nice clunk. The spoilers, there's nothing that's expected. Even the fuel control's got a nice noise. So the switches, they sound pretty good. Now let's check out the engines. Okay, so we're now taxiing. This is not anything correct, which is why I am blasting around here, currently at 40 knots with engine thrust set at 46. Let's just pull those back. It's just so that we can get to the runway, so that you guys can hear the engines, because that's the best time when we take off. Maximum power at that point. I've also got nothing in the plan. This is just for the purposes of letting you hear the engines, because I like the engines on here. I do think that they sound very nice. They also seem to be more powerful as well. I'm not sure if it's the same as the real plane, but yeah, we're able to climb a lot quicker than the 350. Okay, so I'm going to rev the engine basically. You heard that? That was a nice sort of whine. Right. Put the parking brakes on. Still got the APU running. Let's turn that off. There we go. Much better. Okay. So let's just have a listen. Listen to that. It does sound good, doesn't it? We're getting a bit of a bleeping here.
80 knots.
Not really sure why, to be honest, but the engine whine is very nice, I think.
Positive rate.
So let's just go outside again. I'm gonna have to keep the nose down myself. Yeah, sounds quite nice. So there we go. Now, I believe it is time for us to look at some quirks, but not before I pull a mad maneuver. Let's do it. We're basically in a stall, almost. Oh, there we go, we are stalling. There we go. Store recovery for you. Terrain, brilliant. So, let's go and look at some quirks. So, we'll do the quirks now, because this is something that I may as well just get out of the way because it bothers me. So, there are a number of switches in this plane that do not do anything, including some which are just, you know, really stupid. If I go to the flight plan, initialization, we have here route summary, inoperable page. Great, okay, not a problem. If I click these, I'm in flight, so I don't want to do that. If I click these, it'll say inoperable page. All over this aircraft, it says inoperable page. It's useless. Why do I want inoperable pages everywhere? It's quite terrible, to be honest. On top of that, we have this. So that's a taxi camera. That says it's inoperable. You'd think that's because we're not taxiing. No, it's inoperable on the ground as well. There is a landing camera. I can't remember where it is. There is also this video here. Yes, it's the feed from the door. It's a nice idea. I mean, seriously, it's awful. Just the same thing going back and forth. Like I said, many other switches don't do anything. These switches have a click sound, but nothing happens because you set it inside the FMS instead, or in here in the survey, and that basically takes away the ability because it's on auto. So the switches don't do anything. It would be useful if it said that they didn't do anything. Yeah. There are many more switches that, to be honest, I haven't tried using, but I've got a feeling they probably don't work as well. There's also a slightly strange thing in the 350, which I don't know if it's real or not. To arm the speed brakes, they just click there, which means judging when they're armed and not armed is quite difficult. I find myself using the keys instead to make sure that everything is correct. There is also this annoying thing, which is that the cabin seems to beep you all the time, and I can't get it to stop. I don't know why they keep beeping me, but it's getting rather annoying. So, like I said, this is the pre-recorded flight, just so I can test the FPS. I'm going to continue and get landed, and we're going to go over now and look at the 787 sounds and quirks. Okay, so quirks. The first one I'm going to show you before the plane is even ready to go. That is SAM. So I have SAM World Jetways. If I click this, because I've got it on manual mode, prefer it that way. Let's say we're going to connect to this door. We could even watch it connect. Does take a little while. Come on, buddy. But I do like the way it animates, it's very nice. Just a shame SAM doesn't ever seem to work at payware airports. Not for me, at least. It's a bit weird. Right, he's coming up. Here we go. It's true, it has got quite a long way to go, actually. Okay, so we can see him connecting. Perfect. So you'll see we've now got forward external power available. If I turn this on, let's go and have a look at the ground surfaces. So we've got a jetway attached, so external power is available. Go to the electric page. You can see they're both lit green because they're available. Turn them on. That noise makes it sound like everything's on, but now the green has disappeared. Strange. Now if I ask for this one, which is the large external power, the aft one, click available, that gets the cross through it. That shows it's connected and feeding power. That's a little bit weird. Don't quite understand it. Now, while we're waiting for the IRS to align, let's look at one of the other quirks. So, I'm put in today's flight EDDH2 E ham. Complete. Go to performance. Put some random numbers in here. I don't know. I'm literally just making numbers up at this point. Total fuel. Landing with 1500. There we go. So, complete. So, runway 33. Conditions dry. Wind is 0. Excuse the cat noise. Right, rating. Let's just go for takeoff. Select our flaps. Flaps 5. Anti-ice. We'll leave it on. ATM. It took me ages to try and find out what on earth ATM is. It appears to be a flex temp. So if I put in 55, hide the keyboard, and click calc. This is why I think it's a flex temp, because we've got a selected temperature. Now where on earth am I supposed to get that number from? That's my question. I don't know. I mean, am I just supposed to invent them? I mean, I really don't know. It's a little bit weird. And of course this is performance for takeoff. I cannot find anywhere performance for landing. So whenever I land this plane, I'm just guessing, trying to, get it down at the right sort of speed. It's a bit weird. I don't know why I can't find a takeoff, landing performance chart when there is one for takeoff. Seems odd. Right. Pop-out menus. That's something else. There are no pop-out menus here. Highly disappointing. Not even these, which look like almost the default radio panels, but they are slightly different. But yeah, no pop-out panels. It's disappointing, but I believe that is one of the big things that they've highlighted in the new update, that there will be pop-out menus, but please don't quote me on that. While the IRS is aligning, we'll just wait, because the last... No, actually there's two, so I can do one while we're still waiting. Checklists. There's no checklist for this aircraft, none. There is a tutorial available online. If you search for Magknight 787 tutorial, you can find one. But there's nothing, at least when I downloaded it and since I've updated it, there's nothing in the documentation area inside the aircraft, in the usual X-Plane folder. Nothing in there. So there's no checklist to follow through, which means I have to try and remember the checklist based on the tutorial. It's a bit of a pain. So let's just wait for the IRS to align, and then we can see the final details, the final quirk. Okay, so now the IRS is aligned, we can look at the final quirk. That is this map. The text on here is tiny. We're on range 10, so you might think, why don't you just zoom in? There we go. It doesn't change the text size. Now, when you're looking at waypoints on your route, it can be really difficult to see where they are. Even more difficult to see where the top of descent is. That is something that needs to be fixed. It's just weird. It's too small. It's crazy. So that is the final quirk I have. Okay, so I did do quirks already for the 350, but I thought of some more, and one of them, I'm not sure if it's just in the mod. I think it might be. So the first one is this. Oops. Nav one. Usually you get an on battery sign somewhere. In all of the other Airbus aircraft I've flown, you get one. Here, nothing. 2 or 3 even. Nothing. 2, nothing. That's a bit weird. Don't know if it's real. And I know I haven't fully set up the cockpit, but even if I do, it still does the same thing. Now, the thing which is specific for the mod is this Now you'll remember I said you get that annoying buzzing and the light comes on. On here you get the buzzing but there's no light, which is even more weird, to be honest. Something else, as we're here, if we go, I don't know, cockpit prep, here, when you see, I hit the right click button to move up. If I do it again, I want to go to the left, it goes purple because I haven't done it. It associates left click with right click. That's a little bit annoying, so you have to move your mouse out of here and then do it, and it works fine. That's a little bit annoying. That's in both the standard and this one. Obviously that's a system thing, not something the cockpit mod is doing itself. Another thing which is quite annoying, in the FMS we go to the fuel and load page. We have a 0 fuel weight CG in the block. You also have down here somewhere, no, it's in perf page, you have the takeoff weight CG. Now if we go here to the airplane, passengers, I don't know, no, it's 20, isn't it? 20 and 190, okay. 0 fuel weight, 164.7. Cargo weight, yeah, okay. Where is the CG? If we go to perf, that's the gross weight CG, which is what you would put into here. But for the purposes of filling in the fuel and load, there's no 0 fuel weight CG. So I've just been putting in the gross weight because I don't have anything else. That's kind of annoying, to be honest. And there's nothing in the documentation to describe it. So there's not much I can do about it. So that's all the quirks for the 350. Let's move on.
190.
Okay, so the route for the test flight is exactly the same, completely. I have not changed a thing about it. The only thing that's different is that I let it do auto altitude and auto payload. So we are going to be, if I scroll across, departing from Hamburg, departing on runway 33 via the Whiskey Sierra November 3 Golf SID. We will then fly for not very far, to be honest, over Germany and into the Netherlands, where we will pick up the Echo Echo Lima 1 Alpha Star, and we will come in for final onto ILS runway 27. That is our route. It is identical for all 3 flights, just to make sure the FPS checking is as close as can be. So as you can see here, this is our FPS. So we've been around 40 the entire time. We did get a little spike of 70 at one point. In general though, we've been between 30 and 40, which is good. OBS doesn't use up much resource. In general, it's using less than 1%, so I don't really count that as having an effect. There is some spiking that you can see over here. Let me just get rid of that. But this spiking is actually due to me doing replays. The replays have spiked everything up a little. But yeah, in general, we're around the 30 to 40 mark throughout the entire flight. And we took off from from EDDH, which is default, and we landed in EHAM, which is the Aerosoft. So I think that's pretty good. Let's take a look at what the 787 got. Okay, so this flight didn't end very well. I didn't do a particularly good job of it. But what you can see in the background is the data output graph, and this was consistently higher. So this was 40 to 50 almost all the way along the flight, a couple of dips down to the 30 level. The majority of them, 40 to 50, high 50s even 60s at some point. So FPS is definitely better in this aircraft. So this is the output graph for the FPS for the modified cockpit. As you can see, just scroll across. It's difficult for you to see, I expect, but it's around the same as we had before. So 30 to 40. Got a couple of spikes actually, where we increased. Once we got on the ground in EHAM, we shot up to 60, interestingly. And then we're back down to 40, and currently we're down at about 12 for no particular reason. Not quite sure why it's down that low. But, so these are similar numbers to the original, which does mean the cockpit mod doesn't make any difference to the FPS, it seems. In summary, these two aircraft are both, I think, probably the best long-haul aircraft we have available in X-Plane at the moment, X-Plane 11. Now, they both have their own quirks, they both have differences in graphics, differences in sound. People also have personal preference, which comes into it quite a lot. Some people would prefer to have the Boeing, some would prefer to have the Airbus. Based on the price, some people would probably choose the 787 exactly as it is. I'm not actually going to tell you what my personal preference is until the end of the summary. There's one big thing, really big thing with both of these planes, and it's actually a bit of a bugbear of mine. That's the non-workable switches. Both of these planes have got far too many. Having said that, this is Flight Factor's beta, which means their plane is closer than the Magknight. The Magknight still has an update which we all know is imminent. So that update could get rid of every non-functional switch, which would fix everything. As well as this, it's probably second biggest bugbear is manuals. Neither of these aircraft come with manuals, at least not when I downloaded them, not when I updated them. There were no manuals put into the documentation section. The Flight Factor 350 even puts in this ridiculous 5,000 page PDF PowerPoint document, which I must say, I know for a fact is based on an old Airbus template. It's not even the latest one. It doesn't give you any information, it just tells you how the systems work in the plane. Now, that's not what I want. What I want is a manual telling me how this plane works. How have you, Flight Factor, and you, Magknight, actually represented the systems? What do I need to switch on, for example, to get the weather radar to tilt up? What do I need to do in the case of something not working, FAQ for standard questions? These things aren't there. As I said, they're not there in my files. If anybody else has them, please do let me know, and I would love to have a copy of them. But those two things are both really big issues for me. One thing though that is important to me is the FPS. I like it to be smooth and I like it to look good. Now, I do understand as a flight simmer there was a balance between the two, and I am always happy to strike the balance. But the Flight Factor 350, considering I think the graphics are basically the same as the 787 at the moment, I would rather take the 787 for the FPS increase. Plus, I don't know, it just seems like a slightly more fun aircraft to fly. That's something I can't really demonstrate in a video. So that's something you'll only see either if you own the aircraft, or if you watch other people flying you might get an idea. But I find the 787 just that little bit more fun. And I am an Airbus person, so there we go. It's just my thing. So that is my preference, the 787. And because of that, I am going to be doing a giveaway in my Discord server sometime before the end of August. It will depend on how many subscribers I've got, I think, more than anything. I would like to do it at the end of August, but it really depends on how many people are in the Discord channel at that time. So if you want to be in with a chance of winning a copy of the 787, please join the Discord server. There is a link in my About Me page. So check it out, and thank you very much for watching, everyone. I hope this has helped some of you, and please check out all my other videos as well. Bye bye.